Hey guys, welcome back to another pickups video. I've got some really interesting stuff to tell you, some stories to work through, so let's get right into it. I've got an interesting variety of stuff here today. I've been picking up stuff for a few different systems and a few different collections outside of video games. So, one of the first things that obviously a lot of people have picked up, and I got my copy pre-ordered, and that was the new Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection. I did get this on release day, and I've been enjoying my time with it. It's been pretty great. I've mostly been playing Sunshine, Mario Sunshine, and it's fantastic to go back and play. It looks really good. The graphics look fantastic. The gameplay is just like I remember, but having it in widescreen, a little bit of upscaling or whatever they did, it looks fantastic, especially in handheld mode on the Switch. So I've been having a good time with this. I haven't really played 64 yet, but that is definitely going to happen in the near future. And Galaxy I played pretty recently from the Wii, so I'm probably not going to play the Galaxy portion of this in the near future, down the road maybe, just to check it out or whatever, but I really bought this for 64 and Sunshine. So that's the only Switch game I have here to show you right now. Actually, just earlier today I was out at Value Village doing a little bit of thrifting, and I came across this awesome book here, The Death and Life of Superman by Roger Stern. Now, Roger Stern was actually one of the writers of Action Comics back during the time of the death of Superman in the early 90s. I'll just read the back of it here. It says, on November 18th, 1992, news of Superman's death shocked the world as the legendary Man of Steel was killed defending Metropolis from the monster called Doomsday. Here at last is the dramatic story behind the best-selling comic book of all time. The fates of Clark Kent, Lois Lane, Ma and Pa Kent, the Justice League, and the reign of the four super beings who mysteriously appeared after Superman's funeral, each claiming to be the real last son of Krypton. And finally, here is the complete, incredible story of Superman's triumphant return. So this is an official, this book is, as far as I know, this book is canon, and it's kind of a piece of that whole really important kind of comic book bust of the 90s, where there was just too many things going on, and comic books basically went from boom to bust over the course of a couple of years, and it was largely because of this storyline and the way that they marketed the death and return of Superman, and the way that they marketed actually all of those comic books and stuff as collector's editions and put them in little cellophane bags and everything to convince people that they were collectible, but then there was millions and millions and millions of copies, and it's now one of the cheapest comic books you can buy, but it is a really important piece of history, and I'm actually pretty excited to read this book because I've never read it before. A couple other things I picked up at Value Village. Some of you will know I do collect VHS movies, particularly anything in the vein of 80s and 90s action movies, and I picked up two movies that I'm really interested in. Obviously, Universal Soldier. This is, an iconic VHS era movie. Van Damme, great action. Gonna enjoy this, and then I'm actually gonna watch this one tonight, which is a classic, Call the Conqueror. Now this has Kevin Sorbo of Hercules and Andromeda fame, as well as Tia Carrere, the Relic Hunter, and she doesn't appear in a whole lot of stuff, but to have these two together, Tia Carrere and Kevin Sorbo, just absolutely brings me back to my childhood. The early 90s is when I kind of came of age, so to speak, and this stuff is the stuff that was just absolutely awesome to me when I was growing up, so super happy to add this to my VHS collection, which is growing in leaps and bounds. So moving back into games here, mentioned a couple of times over the last few videos that I got my hands on a PSP. It was not working when I got it. I had to get a new battery, a new charger, a memory card, and it cost me about 50 bucks or so to get it up and going, which I probably could have bought one for 50 bucks or so, but I had a little fun getting it up and going anyway. So I've been buying some games for the PSP collection. I showed a couple of them in the last kind of pickups video at the end of my travel vlog, but a couple more that I've picked up here recently, pretty iconic titles for the PSP, and that is Final Fantasy 1 and 2, and these are really considered to be among the most definitive ways to play these games, just because of the presentation, the controls, and the fact that you can also, on most PSPs, output to your TV means that you're actually, you have the opportunity, kind of like the Switch, where you can go back and forth between handheld and TV mode, kind of at a moment's notice. Now, the TV mode from the PSP is not the greatest, but definitely, it gives you that option, and it's pretty fun. I've been looking forward to I've never played the original 2 Final Fantasy games. The earliest Final Fantasy game that I really started with was Final Fantasy VII, and then I went back and dabbled with a couple of the 5 and 6 ones on the PS1 anthology disc. Say that fast twice. So I'm definitely looking forward to going back and playing more of the early Final Fantasy titles. I also have 3 and 4 on the DS, so at some point in time I will be going back and going through all those games again, because there's so much history there that I missed out on. So, fairly recently, I did mention in one of my last videos, I went out and bought an Xbox One S in the last month or so here, and I've really been enjoying just getting it set up. I subscribed to Game Pass, and there's so many great games on Game Pass that I don't really need to buy a whole lot of Xbox One games. I mostly bought it for the backwards compatibility features, to be able to play the best versions of my 360 and original Xbox games where they're compatible, and quite a lot of them are compatible. But one thing, I had played with Cousin Mike, who appeared on the last video. I've played most of our Call of Duty and first-person shooter games on the PS3 and the PS4 back in the day, and now I've kind of switched over my whole ecosystem to Xbox. I don't have a PS4, and I don't intend to get a PS4 until I can find one used for like $100 10 years from now or something. I'm pretty happy with the Xbox ecosystem, so I have gone out and rebought a couple of those Call of Duty titles, and the first one here is Call of Duty Ghosts, the enhanced Xbox One edition. I was actually surprised to find out that it seems there's some extra content in here. It certainly looks fantastic for a 2013-ish game, 14-ish game I think it was. The graphics are fantastic. The game is just as fun as it was on the PS3, but it seems like there's a couple of extra multiplayer maps and stuff that we don't remember. This definitely seems like the more definitive way to play this game. It certainly plays smooth, and this was one of my favorites from that kind of late PS3 era, so glad to add this to my collection. As I say, I'm not going to buy a whole lot of Xbox One games because I have Game Pass, and frankly, there's not that many games in the current generation that I'm super excited about, but one game that I did own before, when I had an Xbox One before for a little while, was Titanfall 2. I really enjoyed this. Mike and I played the story mission for Titanfall 2 in the course of 2 or 3 sittings. It's a fairly short game, but an absolutely amazing story campaign. Really cool, like, kind of time travel mechanics and a mech suit that you can jump in and out of. This game is really entertaining, really well made, and you can usually find it, at one point these were actually selling at dollar stores for like $3 or $4. I think I paid, $8 for this, but I'm pretty happy to add this to my collection. So I could have actually got the next game and played it through Game Pass, but it's one of those games that I do feel like I want to own for the collection. It's a game I've been looking to get into for a long time, and that is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Now, this is still sealed. I haven't even installed it to my system yet. As I say, I've just had the system a few weeks. I just got an external hard drive hooked up to the system now so that I can expand, so this is going to get installed in the next little while. But what can I say about The Witcher 3? I mean, I haven't played it, so I can't give you a review, but from everybody's reviews out there, everybody says if you're into RPGs, this is one of the best Western RPGs that you could ever play, next to, Skyrim or something like that. This is really one of the best, most involved. Obviously, CD Projekt Red, everybody loves these guys, so I'm definitely, I could have just played this on Game Pass, but I feel like I wanted to own the physical version of this game, so My Xbox One collection is going to stay fairly small because of my commitment to Game Pass, but this was definitely one I couldn't pass up for $30 brand new. Next game that I'm super interested in playing, I've got it installed on the Xbox One now, and I'm just waiting for Mike to come over on this weekend, and we're going to play this together. This is going to be our next game. We finished Streets of Rage 4 last weekend. We're going to go back into Streets of Rage and try and up our stats a little bit, but the next game that we're really going to put time into this weekend coming up is the Destroy All Humans remake. This was a fantastic game on the PS2. Just really fun, quirky, kind of action-adventure platformer. If you're not familiar with this game and its sequel, you play as the alien. Just as the name says, you're basically dominating and subjugating Earth, blowing up buildings and, taking over people's minds and all that sort of thing. It's just a lot of mayhem and a lot of good, clean fun, and this is something I'm really looking forward to getting into this weekend, so I'll give you my thoughts next week or in the next video about what I thought of the remake versus the original, but this is definitely something I've been excited about for a while, and I'm glad to add it to my collection. So one more Xbox One game here, and this is something that, this game released, I don't know, probably, 5 or 6 months ago or something, and I've been pretty excited about it because I was never really a fan of the original anime up until just recently, just within the last year or so, even less, within the last 7 or 8 months, I started watching Dragon Ball Z. I had always been kind of dismissive of Dragon Ball Z as, just from all the fanboys out there, everybody talking about how powerful Goku is, and Goku can kick Superman's ass and the Hulk's ass and stuff like that. So I always had this kind of bad taste in my mouth for Dragon Ball Z until I watched it. I watched the first season, the first kind of saga, the Saiyan saga, whatever, and, I really liked it. I really thought the show had a lot of heart, and it's something that really interested me in carrying on. So the perfect time for this game to release, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. And, this has come down in price a little bit. This is a brand new sealed copy, as you can see. I picked up for $50 Canadian, which is about, $25, $30 cheaper than a brand new game now. It's come down in price after 6 months, but this is something that I'm really excited to play because I've really recently become a fan of the Dragon Ball Z universe, and this game, it's a role-playing action-adventure game that takes you through the first 4 sagas in the Dragon Ball Z universe, basically lets you experience the anime kind of firsthand between fighting and exploring and kind of crafting and leveling up and stuff. It's a pretty unique Dragon Ball Z game because most Dragon Ball Z games are just one-on-one fighting games, sort of Street Fighter style. So this is getting installed tonight, actually. I just bought this yesterday, and I will be checking this out this weekend as well. So moving away from the Xbox One, I actually did pick up a PS2 game in the last couple of weeks, pretty recently, and this game is fairly uncommon but really well thought of. Most people call it a cult classic, and I would agree. This game really never took off on consoles, and it wasn't until it was released on Steam a couple years later that it really started to pick up sales, but that is the original Psychonauts on PS2. This game is an absolute acid trip where you jump in and out of different people's minds. It's a platformer, but you're basically, every level of the platform is inside somebody else's mind or their frame of mind, and in order to beat each level, you have to figure out kind of the things that are wrong with that person's mind, how they think and how they would react to certain things. There's a lot of puzzles and things like that. It's an absolutely excellent, dare I say, one of the best platformers on the PS2, and I really can't wait to get into this. I did play quite a bit of this at a friend's house back in the PS2 day, and, just fond memories with this, but this is a fairly hard-to-find game now because there were not a lot of copies. Not to say that it's rare necessarily, but you see I did have to pay $40, now that it's Canadian, but I did have to pay $40 for it because it is a little on the uncommon side, and this is actually the first time I've seen this game in a really long time. So moving towards the end of the video now, we're just about done, guys. Thanks for hanging in. By the way, if you've made it this far in the video and you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I put up a new video, because there's all kinds of cool stuff that we discuss on this channel. It's not just pickups and talking about new games. I do videos about movies and TV and audio books and comic book collecting, VHS collecting, all things nerd. Get discussed here at this table, so please go ahead and subscribe. You will not be disappointed. So the last thing that I have in the collection today is actually a stack of things, and that is, as you can see over here, I have a collection of Nintendo Power magazines going, and I'm trying to get a complete set of Nintendo Power magazines, which is about 360 issues. I have somewhere around 60 or 70 issues here in the spinner rack right now, a few that don't fit in the spinner rack, but I did pick up a stack of about 20 Nintendo Power magazines. I'll show you some of the ones here, some absolutely iconic covers from the late NES and early Super Nintendo era. So we've got the Street Fighter 2 Turbo episode, Battletoads episode, Batman Returns, Tiny Toon Adventures, Addams Family, Mickey's Magical Quest, Roadrunner's Death Valley, the Super Star Wars Edition, Super Mario Kart. This is a fantastic one to have. It's pretty collectible. Some really cool stuff in here on all the different stages in Mario Kart and stuff, and yeah, this is a really cool book to have. Like, this is basically introducing the launch of Super Mario Kart. Fantastic game that spawned you know how many games after it. So quite a few different. Here's the introduction for Mario Paint. Here's Street Fighter 2. Let's see what else we got. A personal favorite of mine, the Darkwing Duck episode. Super glad to add this to the collection because I am a huge Disney Afternoon fan and I love all the games. I actually have the Disney Afternoon collection on Steam, which I still like to go back and enjoy some of these games today. Good WWF episode. Hulk Hogan on the cover. Zelda Link to the Past edition, which is super cool. And the TMNT 3 Manhattan Project. Probably the coolest one in the stack here is the 50th issue, which talks about Link's Awakening. And there's quite a few kind of retrospective things in here talking about, the first 50 issues and things that have been discussed. But yeah, like, this is just, these are in fantastic condition. And then I picked up a couple of other magazines from the same person as well, a couple of which are actually pretty valuable. I picked up this Flux premiere issue. Not really familiar with this magazine, but I looked it up and it's selling anywhere from $30 to $50 for this #1 issue. So glad to add that to my collection. And then the Game Player's Nintendo Guide, Super Mario World Edition, which is a pretty cool one to have as well. It really deep dives into Super Mario World. And then she also threw in this Winning Tips for Nintendo Strategies little book here. These things used to be all over the place back in the day. Just a kind of a cool little throwaway thing to put on the shelf here, but some interesting stuff in here. So super glad to add this. This is a little bit further on my road to getting a complete collection. Anyways, guys, thanks for sticking around with me. If you have anything to say about this, if you've picked up some of these things in the past and you have opinions on some of the games that I'm about to start playing, please let me know in the comments below. If there's anything that you could add to the discussion, I'd be really happy to hear from you. So let me know in the comments, engage in the community, guys, and thanks for watching. Stay classy.